Hi, Paul. Thanks.
Uh,
Thank you very much for for joining me today and agreeing to tell your story, which I think will be I think it'll be a really inspiring story for a lot of people out there. So yeah, maybe if you could just start at the beginning when you first started getting your pain and what's happened since then. Yeah, so if you could just tell us a bit about that, would be great.
yeah, no problem. It goes back a long way, actually. In about 1994, so it's 24 years ago, I just started to develop this pain at the top of my right leg, basically where the leg meets your bottom. And for no apparent reason, it just seemed to gradually get worse. Um, I was quite proactive and I thought, I don't want this to get too bad. So I went and saw physiotherapists, chiropractors. I saw my GP. Nobody really could tell me what was causing the problem. I had an MRI scan, had a CT scan. Again, they came back as normal. So it was quite a mystery. So I went through a number of years just looking for people to help me. In the end, I got referred to a pain management course. This was around about 2004, 2005. And I actually went on a 3-week residential pain management course through the NHS, which in many respects was good. But the problem with a pain management course is it doesn't actually remove the pain away. It just teaches you how to cope with it.
Yeah.
So I started doing more exercise and things like that, and followed all their advice. But and in fact they even suggested I start. Sorry, did I say I had great difficulty sitting down? That was the main.
Yeah.
I couldn't. I was unable to sit down for even a minute.
Yeah.
So
but maybe I think it might be good if you could just sort of expand on that and just so since 1994 you haven't been sitting down for even for a minute, so working, eating.
That's right. Yeah, sorry. The issue for me has been that the pain has affected me so much that I've not been able to sit down at all. Initially, I used to try and sit with a cushion, and that was okay. But even after I went on the pain management course and they taught me to try and sit down, I found that after a while, the pain was just so great and the recovery period was so long that it just was no point. So I reverted to standing up virtually all the time. So this had a major effect on me because I couldn't sit down to watch TV. I had to stand for meals. I had to stand to work. I wanted to go out. I couldn't go to the cinema or to a football match. Even if I went for a meal, I still had to find a pub where there were tall tables or a restaurant, in the cinema, who could cater for me in that way.
Yeah.
It was a huge impact on my life. And of course, the worst thing of all, I was in quite severe pain all the time. This would even affect things like sleeping.
So I mean, just a massive adaptation that you've had to make because of this pain. You had to adapt, your whole life really for 24 years. So
yeah, and it's had quite a huge impact on my family as well because they've had to adapt everything they do too. So yeah, I've had major problems all the way through this time. One of the interesting things was when I went on the pain management courses, they said, well, if you haven't found a reason for the pain, you probably never will.
Right.
And all they could really offer me was painkillers, which I never found they really worked for me anyway.
Right.
So, and it really, the only other thing that ever helped me was a bit of reflexology, massaging my feet, and that sort of helped a little bit. But we're talking about tinkering around the edges rather than a cure.
Yeah.
So I think the changing point for me was actually when I was looking for another type of bed to try and to sleep better, and I was sort of talking to this professional guy about the pain, and he suggested that I come and see you.
Okay.
And well, as you know, I started seeing you about 18 months ago, I think it was now.
Yeah, I think we first met in April last year, 2017.
That's right, yeah. And the first few months were good in that it got me trying to change the way I think, because I think there was definitely an element of depression because I've been experiencing these problems for so long. So it was a change, trying to change the way I thought, and trying to bring in a positivity into the way I operated through the day. And what I used to do is, under your instruction, was try and come up with comments, just sort of in the background of your mind. You go out and you trying to find somewhere where you weren't disturbed, and you could just sort of repeat ad infinitum, just sort of positive comments. And you probably at the time think this isn't having any effect, and sometimes I really didn't believe it was having effect. But I think your brain subconsciously takes it on board, and only by progressively doing it over a long period, particularly for someone who, like myself, who's had such so many years of difficulties, and only then do you start to gradually see an improvement. Having said that, initially, I think I started by introducing sitting down for short periods, and I got to 2, maybe 3 minutes.
Yeah.
And then, because of problems I had in my personal life and my work life, I think I took my eye off the ball a bit, and again, I found that sitting down became too painful, so I stopped. But we carried on with the treatments and the advice you gave me, and I think it was March 2018 we started to reintroduce sitting down again. And I started off with 15 seconds, which doesn't sound a lot, and indeed it wasn't, but I gradually built up to a minute, then 2 minutes, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and so on. And I've now got up to, over a period of a day, I can now sit up to over 4 hours.
Yeah.
Probably could do 5 without too much difficulty. So for me, that is just a huge life-changing result, really.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say I'm quite a full recovery, but I'm very optimistic that I can take this further. And I'm actually sitting down now, and have been since we started this interview.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I haven't really noticed the pain at all. So something must have happened.
Yeah.
And I'll give you quite a lot of credit for that. So it's quite remarkable. And as I say, I've had major problems, and I imagine other people who have not been experiencing difficulties for so long, you could probably have much quicker results than with me. But you comment on that.
Yeah. I mean, everybody's different, and some people do have quicker results. I think in your case, Paul, it's that since we started in April last year, we did see that bit of improvement, didn't we? Where you were getting up to about 3 minutes, and then, like you said, things happened in life. You had a lot of stress at work during that period. So I think that kind of things like that can take over, and trying to then the effort of trying to sit for longer, probably became more difficult in that period. And then, like you said, in March this year, we were able to kind of reintroduce that again, and then you've really,
leaps and bounds, really.
I mean, up to 4 hours of sitting a day is incredible, really, isn't it? I mean, when you first came to see me, you know, you used to stand for the whole session, and I remember you used to bring a cushion with you as well, because you came in a taxi and had to lie down in the, you know, couldn't sit down in a taxi, and now you're sitting down for the whole sessions. And I think you said recently that you'd been out for a meal with your wife as well, and sat down for that
Well,
whole
actually, I went on holiday for a week, and I sat down at every meal over that period.
Right.
You know, my wife just couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
Such a change. You know, and you've gone for nearly a quarter of a century with standing up for every meal.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it affects you socially so much.
Yeah. And I mean, how does your wife? I mean, I remember the first time that you came and you were sitting down in reception, and for me that was a bit of a shock. You know, seeing you sitting down, because obviously I've not seen you sitting. You know, not sort of casually, you're sitting down as you were then. I mean, how does she feel now that you are sitting down and you are able to go out for a meal together? And it must be.
Yeah, the options are far greater. I mean, I can now sit in a car, which I couldn't do before. You had to lie on the back seat, which is never that comfortable. But now, what we're doing now is we're looking at possibly going on a flight. Well, I haven't flown for years, you know, many years. And, you know, we're looking at going to Scotland to see her sister perhaps, and then maybe even a holiday abroad. Whereas before, I used to go on holiday every year to Cornwall, living in Bristol, you know, because that was sort of doable. I would stand on the train for 4.5 hours, and my wife would drive down there and meet us at the other end. So, you know, and then she'd sometimes go and stand on the beach, and I'd sit on the beach and I'd stand up.
Right. Yeah.
So, you know, you can imagine it was pretty horrendous.
Yeah.
So the options are fantastic now.
Yeah.
In fact, I'm going to Cornwall again end of next week, and I'm going to sit in the car for the 2.5 hours that it takes to get down there.
Right. Okay. And you're going to sit on the beach as well?
If the weather's good, only if the weather's good. You can't control that problem, can you?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's just, I think it's just really, truly inspirational, Paul, that you know you've. I think, you know, because it has been since April last year to now. You know, we're now in end of August, 2018. You know, that you kind of persevered with it and stuck with it, because I think probably at times there may have been times that you thought you felt like you might not have been getting anywhere with this approach, but you know, you've stuck with it, and now, you know, obviously reaping all the benefits of that. What do you think it was from your perspective? What was it that you thought maybe helped you the most to get to this stage?
I think I believed in the advice you were giving me. I could understand it from a logical point of view.
Right.
And I looked at myself and thought, well, yeah, you know, you've not been treating yourself properly over these years. You know, I was a bit introvert, I was a bit depressed, and you know, I just felt that I needed to sort of start afresh.
Right.
This gave me the opportunity. You know, every day I'd go for a walk, and that was good in that it gave me thinking time, which I think is quite important, because you can't be very positive if you've got people around you all the time. Because once they're speaking to you, you can't think, "Oh, I'm being positive." And same if you've got the TV on, if you've got the radio on, it's very hard to concentrate. So if you can give yourself a bit of me time, that's really good, because and if you can do an hour's walk, that's fantastic, you know, because you can achieve so much, and you get fresh air, you know, and you get a bit of exercise.
Yeah.
So, and that can't be doing any harm at all. So
yeah.
Well, I think
that
would be my advice: is try and get some me time, perhaps a little bit of quiet somewhere where you can concentrate on yourself.
Okay.
And cumulatively, that will give you some real benefits.
Yeah, I think that's really good advice. I think it's one of the things that people often have the most difficulty with is, like you say, just having a bit of time for yourself, making time to do something positive for for you. Because I think a lot of the times people think sometimes maybe feel a bit guilty about about doing that, about making time for themselves or putting themselves first. But it sounds like that was a really positive thing for you and enabled you to use those positive affirmations that you talked about as well during those periods when you went for a walk.
Yeah, no, it's definitely, a great starting point, and it's something you can build on. You can do a little bit more each day, and gradually you start to notice changes in your body. Um, I had this intense pain at the top of my right leg, and now when I touch my leg, it feels almost not much different from the other side. It's the right side where the problem. The left side feels fine, but
Mm.
now there's not an awful lot of difference between the two, which is quite remarkable, really.
Mm.
Uh, in fact, if you'd asked me 2 years ago, did I ever think I'd sit down ever again? I probably would have said no. It was
Mm.
that bad. So I'm extremely grateful for the advice you've given me.
Yeah. Well, I'm just, really pleased for you as well. Like I said, the first time I came into reception and saw you sitting down, it was, it was just great to see. And yeah, and just really pleased that you stuck with it as well, and and kept going. And yeah, I think for people who, I mean, there's going to be a lot of people out there with long-term pain conditions who probably feeling the same way. Thinking, will I ever get rid of this pain? Is it possible to get rid of this pain? Um, I don't know if you've got a message for them or something you could say. Considering how long, 24 years, like you say, almost a quarter of a century of having this pain and having to adapt your life for so long as well, and now
Well,
being
I've
able to.
spent vast amounts of my life just thinking about how to get rid of the pain. I've seen so many practitioners, so-called experts, people who would say, "Oh yeah, I'll come and see me, and I'll get you sorted out in a few weeks' time." And at the end of the sort of 6, 8, 10 weeks, they've taken a lot of money off me, and they've said, "Sorry, you're a bit of a mystery. We can't help you." And in fairness, you are the only person who has actually made me feel better. Well, and not just a little bit, but substantially better.
Mm,
So
mm,
I would say that I'm not wishing to criticise the NHS, but their thinking is slightly different from yours. Well, it's very much different from yours, and perhaps I need to take on board some of the theories that you're using.
mm. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I think.
the brain that controls a lot of the pain rather than necessarily the physical problems you have, which I've found from implementing suggested.
Yeah. So I think it's everything we're doing is trying to focus on the brain. Looking at the psychological side of things as well and how that interacts with your nervous system. And I think by doing that and following advice, you've made the difference and you've been able to have a positive impact on your pain, and by doing that, it's then enabled you to then start to do all the things that you're now doing. So um, yeah, I think a lot of the time treatment can tend to focus, and I've done this in the past, focus on that area. We could have just started trying to treat that area where you've got the pain, but actually that wasn't the problem. It was how the brain was sending signals down to keep reinforcing that pain. So, but yeah, I think
Yeah,
also looking at the pain management side of thing as well. That even though people have pain for a long period of time, it doesn't mean that you can't recover from it. There is the possibility by looking at it from a different angle using a different approach, that even long-term pain you can recover from it.
Yeah, and life is so much better without the pain, I can assure you. As everyone used to, I'm sure, will tell you that.
Yeah,
It makes a huge difference to life.
yeah,
And, that's one thing my wife says to me. She says, "You look different. You look a lot more alive and cheerful." And when you're in pain all the time, it's difficult to be alive and cheerful.
mm, mm.
So, I can't underestimate the difference it's made to my life. So thank you.
Yeah, no, my pleasure. Like I said, it's just I think it's a really truly inspirational story, Paul. The way that you persevered with things, and hopefully just inspire other people as well. Like you said, there's a lot of people out there who are going to be suffering with similar types of pain who may not think that they can improve. So I think you'll really inspire people that's actually persevering. And as you said, kind of putting yourself first a bit and doing things that are positive, for you, sound like it's made a really, really positive difference. And
Yeah, I mean, part of the reason I wanted to come on today was just so that other people didn't miss out on this opportunity, because it's taken me 24 years to find the person I needed. And, that's a lot of time wasted and a lot of effort wasted. If I was 20 years younger and could have removed the pain, just think of all those opportunities that I could have had.
Yeah. Well, it's, I think, sometimes it is about sort of timing and when you can't, who knows, the Paul of 20 years ago might not have kind of got on board with this process. We don't know.
Yeah.
But
Can't rewrite history.
Yeah. But yeah, it's just great to hear that you're going down to Cornwall, going to be traveling down there on the train, and hopefully, if the weather's nice, you'll be sitting on the beach and relaxing and enjoying the view. So,
looking forward to it anyway.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks a lot for joining me today, Paul. And just to reiterate, I think it'd be a really truly inspiring story for people to hear. So, thank you very much for telling it.
No, but thank you to you most of all.
Yeah. All right.
Thanks.
Cheers then.